חברים, מי שעוקב אחריי בחודשים האחרונים יודע שאני כמה פעמים דנתי במצב המלחמה בין רוסיה לאוקראינה ואיפה נמצא כרגע המצב בחזית. אני רוצה עכשיו להביא בפניכם דבריו של תת-אלוף ישראל שפיר, כיצד הוא רואה את סיום הסכסוך, סיום המלחמה בין רוסיה לאוקראינה. תת-אלוף שפיר מעלה דברים שגם עלו בהרבה דיונים גם אצלי בערוץ, אני מציע שתקשיבו לו. תת-אלוף ישראל שפיר הוא אחד מהאגדות של חיל האוויר הישראלי, הוא היה בין הראשונים שהשתתף באימוץ F-16 כשקיבלנו אותם מארצות הברית, וכמובן הוא זכה בתהילת העולם כשהיה בזוג האחרון של המטוסים שתקף את הכור בעיראק ב-1981, יחד עם אילן רמון, שהיה חברו באותה תקיפה. השיחה היא לא ארוכה, היא באנגלית, אני מאמין שתצליחו להתמודד עם זה. עוד פעם, קרדיט לאתר News Wall ישראל, ואני לא רוצה כרגע להביע דעה. אני רוצה שאתם תקשיבו ותכתבו, תגידו מה אתם חושבים.
They won't get everything they wanted, and probably my guess would be some kind of an arrangement in eastern Ukraine where there's a large Russian community, and that's some kind of a deal will have to be struck that these areas will be either mutually controlled or something of that nature. Russia will never give up its access to the Black Sea, of course, and its ports. So they'll both sides will have to come down from their climbing, what we call in Hebrew, climbing up a staircase, and they can't walk back. They will have to walk back and trust somebody to broker some kind of an agreement with you. I think the Russians are pretty tired too, and their energy is depleted financially and otherwise. They're probably going to try, well, they've tried to cut the gas to Western Europe. That didn't work very well. But Russia will probably look for a way out of this as well. Otherwise, obviously, the Russian reserves are much larger than those of Ukraine. But Ukraine is fighting on its own ground, and the Russians are, I think, were surprised by the fact that Ukrainians did not actually receive them with greetings once they crossed the border a couple of years ago. And I think both sides will look for a way to climb down from the tree, and all the talks back and forth are just throwing punches in order to get to a better bargaining position. Nobody wants European NATO forces in Ukraine on the ground. But as you've just mentioned, just to make Russia realize that they're serious, they might send, let's say, anti-aircraft batteries into Ukraine to help them with air defenses, things of that nature that are not directly offensive. I doubt very much whether this will happen, because this is the Ukraine war has actually widened into a northern pact of China, Russia, and Iran against the U.S. with moderate Arab countries, and Europeans are not really involved. But the conflict evolved back into what we used to see during the Cold War era. And so there are many interests that are in the business, such as Russia supplying energy to China, and China helping both Russia and backing Iran in the conflict. So it is much wider than just the Ukrainian question. maybe these elections will change the mind of Ukrainians and allow them some leeway to try and reach some kind of an agreement with Russia. I think we talked about this before, of the eastern provinces, so that both sides can save face. I mean, Putin would like to save face as well, so he needs something to play with. And those provinces would probably allow both sides to swallow this bitter pill in order to end the conflict. Because Russia is, I think, in a dire situation as well, although it has more energy to draw from than. Well, it seems to me that the negotiations should be between Russia and the U.S. And perhaps Germany, France, because obviously Ukraine is in a position where it cannot climb down from the ladder or the tree they climbed. And if there's an agreement that will be struck between Russia and the West, that NATO does not go into the Ukraine, and I think everybody can understand the Russian worries about a NATO force so close to the heart of Russia, on the one hand, and respect for the Ukrainian sovereignty, with some agreements about the eastern provinces. That is something that the West can force upon Zelensky in many ways. So I think it'll take Putin's I would say initiative to promise that he will not use the gas as a weapon against Western Europe, and come to some kind of a deal where all can save faces. It's a good question. I think Israelis, such as myself, have a basic affinity to Russia. Like my grandfather came from Yakutsk, out in the east. And I still have family in Moscow from the old days. And I don't know if you know this, but many Israeli folk songs are actually Russian songs that have Hebrew words. And this is something that we all grew up on. So Russia is certainly a welcome entity in Israel. And there's a lot of Russian spoken out in the streets as well. I think Russia has to decide that it wants to intervene and it wants to calm things down, and they have the relations with Iran, and perhaps they've already taken measures and can take apart, because they also have a leverage over Hezbollah, some kind of a leverage.
חשוב לא לשכוח לייק, סאבסקרייב, שייר ולהצטרף לאותה קהילה חמה של האנשים שתומכים בערוץ. כל הדרכים מצוינות בגוף הסרטון. תודה.